Hello and welcome to episode 20 of our Timberborn 1.1 experimental Iron Teeth playthrough in hard mode on the Timberpunk 2 map, cycle 17, day 3. 2.5 days before we have a drought come in. And, as I say in every single one of these episodes, we have a lot of stuff that has to be fixed. We've got a lot of stuff that we have fixed. And there is so much more than I could possibly hope to describe. Let's hit pause just for a brief moment. It won't be 20 minutes. We have an issue with how this automation has been set up. And that is, I somehow thought it was going to be a smart idea to just do any of them and not have it matter. But I managed to pick the one that gets automatically filled when we have a temperate cycle. So this is essentially completely useless. And what is going to have to happen if we want this to actually be usable as automation and not be a huge waste of time that I would be better off just manually doing these, is put these on another pool. Or have every single pool be completely independently automated, which again would defeat the purpose, because that's just more work and automation is supposed to solve that. We have this thing that is completely empty, more or less, this thing that is basically full, and this thing that's basically full. So we can leave this here because it's already here, but this really cannot control any other fluid dump because of that. And, honestly, I'm really not looking forward to having to do this again. But it is what it is. That's just the way things go. I think I've tried to start recording this episode 3 different times now, and I've never been happy with my explanation of what that was, so hopefully this is the last time. At any rate, this will have to be built, obviously, and we don't have to worry about that until the time comes to worry about it. But I feel like it is extremely necessary for me to explain what I'm doing in hopes that maybe someone will understand it. Anyway, at the very least, this one is taken care of. This one is not automated because it doesn't need to be. This is just like an extra thing. And then same kind of deal with this. But this one is automated to this one as well. So, it's going to be fine. We're not going to worry about it. We got to move on. We have up here, as I click on the wrong thing, a functional tubeway between here and here. And at some point, I really want to try my best to get tubeways absolutely everywhere, but you already know it's going to take a really long time. And absolutely no part of this is going to be perfect. No matter what I do, it is probably not going to line up with what most of you want to see. And honestly, that is just the way that has to be. But I did want to talk about this briefly, where we have this area that is prioritized. Because under it, we have this unstable core that is going to leak all of this bad water out here, flood this entire area, and then everything's going to be horrible forever. Or, what I've been told we could possibly do is create a trench to the outside of the map and put large water wheels in it. That would get a lot of power made up. But, honestly, none of this really matters until we can actually get to it, or until this is about to go off. Whatever is going to be the most reasonable thing to do at that time is probably what we're going to do. And it's all bots up here, so it doesn't really matter if it gets flooded with bad water. It's not going to infect any beavers. It's just going to be a little bit annoying to get that taken care of. It'll be alright. And once again, we are talking while it's nighttime and we can't see anything. Good job. We have a lot of other things that need to be taken care of. Now, this power shaft is actually connected to all of this, which is going to give us a little bit more bad water. A little bit more clean water coming through here to go down into our crater. Hopefully sometime soon the sun will come up and I can talk a little bit more about this. Got a bad water seep for 3 days right here. That's going to go off. There's another one, if I am not misremembering, back here that is already active. So that's going to turn on. We have 1, 2, and I think there's a third somewhere. Maybe I'm misremembering. At any rate, there are multiple bad water sources that are going to go off here, but this is in the process of being built up. Should not be an issue. Once again, the specter of automation haunts my nightmares. This area here, I gotta tell you folks, there's no way for me to put a thing on here and actually show you a value because the terrain does not permit it in any way, shape, or form. I'm sorry, we just can't do it. I am very curious though. Down here, we have the only underground ruins on the map, which again, I feel like I've broken record and I hope you don't take it the wrong way, but like this literally does not exist anywhere else on the map. I have looked. This is a very different version of the map from what I think some of you have. And there is another one in this location on other versions of the map, but not this one. Instead, we just have a lot of scrap metal in a hole. And that is, that's the size of it. It looks like this is, yeah, this is actually sending bad water out this way because that's what it does. But yeah, as long as we're on the same page with that, we're looking okay. The automation for the aquifer drills, obviously is not very good. And there's a considerable amount of frustration on my end about not really understanding the automation stuff to the degree of being able to do even basic stuff. But I think what might make sense is the suggestion that a couple of you said in the comments was to just duplicate this system with the pumps where it turns off when it gets to a certain point. And so this is just a regular depth sensor that I have set to activate when this is above 1.95. This can become the new stop water for the pumps because all of these three are connected. So all we would have to do is take a fluid dump automation, find a place I could put it. Doesn't have to be anywhere really specific. It just has to exist. Assuming I can, you know, put anything anywhere. I guess it's just going to have to go... Yeah, why not? Why not right here? But this is going to be reset from this, and then I just need a start water that could also be... Oh, come on. Let me click on this. There we go. So if this one turns on... Actually, I can't use this same sensor. See, this is what always just absolutely fries my brain. I need this to turn on at a different depth, but I have to have somewhere to attach it to. I think maybe I could put it here. Oh man, how do I have this set up? Start water is set up to be less than 0.5. All right. This should activate when this is less than, I guess if I want to keep it between, 1.5 is honestly probably fine. This will keep it between 1.5 and 1.95, and then this just has to be set to that. So this is now aquifer pump automation. This is set to aquifer pump enable. That does not need to be set to aquifer pump enable. This needs to be set. No, this needs to be changed. This has to be, if the measurement is greater than 1.95, this is aquifer pump reset. And then this one has to be named aquifer pump enable. I'm pretty sure that's how that's going to be. Set reset enable on that. Oh, well, there we go. And this needs to be set to that. And this needs to be set to that. And then this needs to be set to that. Hopefully that fixes that once and for all, because, you know, honestly, I don't need to complain about it anymore. Otherwise, you know, we have 3 beavers who are doing nothing, and we have 1.4 days of free water, so we can get 4 of those guys back in here. That just makes sense. We started the process of improving our food. Somebody asked if we were growing eggplants. We are. They're right there. And they are being produced in this food factory. We have canola oil. We have an oil press. We have a tank. We have storage for the seeds. So while this is not, you know, a great setup, it is working. And that's what matters. Which one's this one? That is less than 0.5. So this should be turning on, but it's not because this is automated to... Did I do these back? Oh, God, I hate this. This is the one that's supposed to reset depth sensor. Okay. I didn't change this to be on the right ones. There we go. There we go. This is supposed to be... Alright, cool. What was I saying about up here? I think I mentioned before that I've tried to record this like 3 times now and had to restart because I couldn't put my thoughts together. I don't remember anymore, and I think I replied to this comment too, so that's unfortunate, but We're talking about the changes in prioritization for workplace versus construction, because they did swap which ones do what at some point, and then that just became a mess that I never was able to reprogram my brain for. And once again, it's dark while I'm trying to talk. There was also some discussion about the charging stations, and I guess everything is right and wrong at the same time, because that's, you know, it's like that Weird Al song from, what, the early 90s. I digress. Apparently, location matters, but it also doesn't matter, and the better strategy is just to have a lot of them, so that's what we'll do. That's easier for me. Totally fine. At any rate, we need to continue to expand tubeways to all of these different places, but the focus needs to stay, for the time being, on getting metal blocks, which is where this comes in, and why I think it is going to make the most sense for us to just prioritize getting a tubeway from here to here. So that is going to be a little bit of a challenge because of the geography of this thing here. There was somewhere on the maps where someone said I had done something incorrect with ladder and bridge placement, and I do not remember where that was. Maybe it was over here? I got a lot of things I'm trying to figure out. There we go. Yeah, that's what it was. This suspension bridge here really can't be built on top of this because the ladder has to be built first, and they can't build the ladder without the suspension bridge to reach it. So this instead has to be on this piece of land, which currently is inaccessible because there's thorns in the way. So this will be yet another one of those very, very long projects that we just kind of have to let happen and forget about it. And we'll come back to that. Oh, there's the other bad water source. I knew there was 3 of those. Anyway, they have just about finished this levee, so this area should be okay. If we scroll down here, yeah, this is the level that this will fill up to. There is no break here or here or here or here. So all of this is a blockage, by the way, as is that. All of this will go out this way, which is already open, or the more likely outcome, go out this way. So this, no matter what, should be fine. I cannot imagine any scenario, unless these are all extreme super turbocharged, where this is not enough space for bad water to get out. This absolute mess of a thing over here, I'm just not going to worry about it. It does not matter. But I really am invested in getting this set up so that we can get bots across here. We have a decent handle on plank production, and I think it would be beneficial for us to start the process of trying to clean things up by exploiting how the tubeways work, which is they can build from inside the tubeways. And all we got to do is just have platforms on top of or beneath the tubeways, depending how they're built, and we can put power shafts. Just follow the tubeways. Make it nice and simple. Right here, it doesn't really work quite as well, but it is something that we can get to doing at some point and have it not be a complete mess. I know we need to have tubeways somewhere else over here for the time being. I do not think it's a critical importance, but it will be decently important at some point soon. Just need to find a good place to put another one that would make sense. My money was probably, right now, gun to my head, one of those right there. And for lack of a better way to imagine how this would get laid out, just 2 ways across straight here. I'm just not worried about it. I think the amount of pumping that we're doing here is adequate for 70-something biobeavers anyway. And if we don't like it, we can always do something else. Now, will we always do something else? Probably not. But I do think it is worth... come on, autosave. I do think it's worth trying to do something. So we can have this continue this way. This is... probably a tank that's worth getting rid of. But to be perfectly honest with you, I don't know that it's really necessary for us to get rid of those. So tubeways, from what I understand, which of course will mean they've changed this because that's how it goes, but tubeways do not allow liquids inside of them in terms of getting beavers infected with bad water. But tubeways going through a solid vertical surface, if you don't want them to, you know, not stop anything, have to have impermeable tubeways, which basically acts as a levee and a tubeway in one. So, anyway, what I was going to say is, I think I can just build tubeways through here and just not worry about it. And they can come out from the back side of this, or... yeah, you know what? This would make the most sense to do this way, because then they can't get stuck. Build that one first, which I believe is probably the only really accessible one anyway. Build that one first, and then have this come over here, and they just get to it when they get to it, and if they get stuck, well then that's their problem and not mine. Because it's been 5 years now, and the game still just inexplicably gets beavers stuck. Which, I don't know. There's probably a valid argument to be made that it is user error and not really the game's fault, but at this point I'm just over it, so we're just going to move on. I think it makes sense to just bring this way and then go down to the bottom of the lake, because remember, these do not take up any space in terms of water volume. I could maybe come up underneath into this, but I don't remember if the vanilla game allows that, so for now I will just do that. Is it beautiful? No. Is it perfect? Also no. But will it work? Yes, and that is the most important metric, because none of us are perfect, and our beavers won't be either. I do, like I said, want to get this rolling sooner or later. But before I start erecting any tubeways, I need to make sure I can actually get across this gap without it being a crazy, stupid thing. And I talked about the overhangs being expensive to research and also kind of a pain. But I think having a tubeway to get over here is going to be worth all of that. Whether it ends up being, you know, a really fantastic setup or just a thing of, oh hey, I can just stack these overhangs and not research anymore, then yeah, that's something else we'll find out at that point in time. But 22 days. 22 days. Let's just really quick, before we get too excited, hit pause. Make sure this is activating, which it has. This is full. This is good. It looks like most of our stuff is doing pretty well. I'm going to turn on the bot assembler, because, well, we need to have more bots. That's going to be the key to a lot of stuff. And we can move on from there. We have 10 now. Beavers with nothing to do in range. Let's investigate. Well, can't see anything. There we go. They have picked this almost entirely clean, except I forgot that I had not marked any of these for cutting, since we were trying to prioritize doing all of these other things. So I'm going to let these guys clean this out. And we're going to investigate here. Yeah, see, this is something that I was kind of concerned about. Forgetting. Seriously, does that not? Okay. Alright, I see how it is. I see how it is. I'm going to have to... I'm going to have, I guess... no, how in the world did that go in the one spot it was not supposed to go? Put one of those there. And then we are going to have to just send this all the way back into our Cavern of Despair. That is, okay. Reserve pile of treated planks is a good thing to have access to now. Just, as I've said, want to make sure that I can actually get to some of these places and have some sort of meaningful amount of stuff gathered. So, once again, we have to check the correct prioritization, make those minimum priority workplaces, and that will help to some degree what we have going on over there. All of this should be okay. They are, you know, they're going to work, and I did tell them to do that, so that's fine. These guys are going to at some point take care of this, I believe. Yeah, we do have we have some amount of metal blocks available, and I think they're just going to do it in the order that they feel like doing it, which was always allowed. 21 days should not be a problem to keep this stuff irrigated with what we have in here. I don't have any bot overflow here. Reminder that we need to have 15,000 science just to automate the bot stuff. Not automate, that's a different thing. You know what I mean. Or at least I hope you do. Yeah, we just got to get more power online. And part of that is contingent on having more metal so we can get to more things, more places, etc. But I think now we are, yeah, we're actually getting pretty close to having this accessible. And with how this has been laid out, it may behoove us to go ahead and just clear cut as straight of a path as we can to get this geothermal generator online. That was not the right button to be. There it is. We know that can get built there. It's not crazy hard to get to. We just have to have something. The reason I was rushing to get over here was to try and defend this. Put a dome on top of it. Literally not a dome, but you know what I mean. But now I have the idea that this might be a better way to do it. Assuming that this would actually be viable. But we don't have a warning yet that this is going to be going off. We have this in 5 days, which is the other one, of course, paired to this. But that's not going to matter for another 16.5 days after that because, obviously. So, who knows? Maybe when this turns on, we will have some sort of crazy bad water apocalypse, but I really don't think it's going to be an issue. Who's out of... Oh, that disappeared. Never mind. What I was going to say is that, you know, there's a bunch of different ways to do the platform on top of the power shaft or vice versa. And at this point, I don't know that it's possible for the two camps to reconcile, so I'm just going to have to do what works. But I do think putting the power shafts on the bottom for how I have this set up makes a little bit more sense. I just have to be able to get to a spot and have them cut what makes the most sense. So, trying to keep this as relatively easily built as possible is going to result in a lot of straight lining. And having this come out this way, following this, right, like so, whether it is or is not on the path, I think is going to be our best shot of having something that doesn't completely suck. So it is going to require a little bit of babysitting. That is something that everyone should be painfully aware of at this point. And I think, actually, no, it's still going to make more sense to do this way. I believe it is going to be worth our while not to do this with tubeways, because one, that's really expensive for something we're not going to need to regularly go on. But it is going to be worth our while to implement charging stations at various locations. And just, as we always do, just do the best with what we have. So, at some point, I will have to have them start walking on top of this. It's just one of those things. How many times am I going to try to... I don't know, my brain's going a billion miles an hour. Just please know that I am trying, and hopefully that's enough. Hopefully. It'll get better when we have more bots. And once again, it's the middle of the night and I'm trying to talk about something, so there we go. All of this will make things just a tiny bit better, one step at a time, and that's it. Well-being is something we haven't really done a ton with, as we've discussed. We can, if we choose to do a little bit more in terms of getting... Oh, what am I even trying to say? I have no idea. Some of this stuff unlocked science-wise is a little expensive, but say a like a detailer for 1,000, I really don't think makes sense. Not right now. But something like a wind tunnel, once we have a little bit more power, yes, that does make sense. Because this is a much higher capacity for a single building for less science, even though it costs more to build. Dance pit, same kind of deal. But we do have an exercise plaza. We do have a swimming pool, even if it can't be used all the time. We have massagers. We have scratchers. It's just a matter of whether the beavers can actually make use of everything. Which we all know is not exactly a fast or easy thing. I do want to kind of be careful not to strand beavers if I can... bots if I can help it. But you know as well as I do. It autoplayed in your mind just then, didn't it? Even without me saying it. Isn't that frightening? No? Well, that's okay. It's probably going to make sense after a certain point to just disconnect the path and make them get on top of this and build, but I do want to make sure that this district actually has a... Yeah, 111 planks, that's fine. And I have a storage somewhere. Not really. I've got logs here. If I'm going to be building a lot of stuff, I really should have stuff being delivered to the construction site. This has a thing there. Let's just do this so that we don't have too much weeping or gnashing of teeth. Let's get this built here. These need to be set to obtain so that the builders can, you know, have something kind of close by. And it looks like most of this is actually reasonably accessible. So why don't we just right now disconnect all of this and then have them build from here. Because I guess technically they can walk down, they can walk all around, they can come through all this, but there will be a point after this tile, which is probably right about here, where they can't build anymore unless they go up top. And again, what we're trying to do is prevent bots from getting stuck. Because no matter what we do, it always happens. So the only correct course of action there is just to try something else, or ignore it, and then just have it not be anything we can do about it. Alright, they have cut basically everything that's worth cutting in here, and I no longer care to monitor this, so that can solve that problem. And come out here. Look at them go. They now have access to here, which can, well, I guess I maybe shouldn't have put this right up against here. But it can, in fact, be used. 3 days for bad water source. I can't do anything right now. I may end up modifying this to give me one square to get beavers up and over this. Why don't we just go ahead and do that so I can actually make use of this. Not a great solution, but once again, it's fine. It will be okay. Now, where do we want to go from here? We probably, for right now, honestly, are fine with this, because this will link to here, which is where, or closer at least to where a lot of the food stuff is. We have this remote pumping outpost. We also, long term, probably should be having beavers come up in this general area, or at least accessible. So what we could do is we could start expanding this way, and then go up the side. We could have something go up to this area. There's all sorts of options. And we have 9 beavers who are not doing anything. I don't want them pumping quite so much. But I don't know that there's really that many more jobs that are super, super, super important to do, with the exception of just getting more planks built. So let's turn this one on. I think tree farming wise we're probably doing okay. Oh, come on. There were a few of these oak trees that were not planted. Someone noted that, so we can easily fix that issue. But now that this is growing in reasonably well, I think honestly this will be enough for most of what we're wanting to do. We just have to be maybe a little bit more aggressive on building some things. Industrial-wise, let's get another industrial lumber mill in here. 2 of these gear workshops is probably more than enough. Having 4 of these industrial lumber mills is just a little bit more, but it seems to be working okay. Somehow, eggplant rations are lacking, but we have eggplants available. That tells me we don't have enough farmers, and that's something some people have been saying for a while. So, why don't we stick another farmhouse here, because this is the closest location that could actually have one. That was not a word. That's fine. They'll help get some of these eggplants. We can expand farming if we need to, but honestly, we have so much right now, I think we're fine. This may end up requiring some more corn. We'll see. We will see what happens. We have the ability to get more tubeways over here if we want. This should, operative term being should, turn into a pretty good automated, I can't say automated because that's a different thing, set it and forget it Ron Popeil style, whatever you want to call it. So we just need to make sure we can actually make that happen. And it is going to take a little bit of babysitting. Just a touch. But as long as they can't get stuck because of how we have this set up, then I think that will be a success. Alright, so this is going to require a vertical power shaft here. That's going to have to go there. That is going to have to go all the way to here, which they can't get rid of until they get down here. Somebody left paths in the way. Wonder who that could have been. Somehow I deleted the wrong thing, but that's fine. Just need to get this hooked up here. They, in theory, cannot get down to the area that I am looking at here without actually doing something annoying. So why don't we... ladder costs more. Stairs are fine. Just bring that down to there. And this should... Once again, operative term being should be a better setup. Let them take care of that. How are we looking? Once again, it's darkness and I'm trying to do anything and it's not working. Okay. Yeah, we are going to have to... Well, to get this built, I'm going to have to put the paths here, but this is going to become tubeways. I need to get them down here to get rid of this, and then get rid of that, and then put a staircase in. I think... To save science, which we desperately need for other stuff, I'm just going to end up using overhangs and stair-step them. And this is one block higher than what is around it, so I think I can reasonably... And I can't mock this up because, again, there's stuff in the way. But I can do that, and if I am going to get that, because that's at the same distance there... That is not going to quite meet, and you cannot bridge tubeways without a two-way bridge, which is a separate thing that is part of a mod that I do not have installed. So if I want these to meet, then I could have this set back one more tile here, which is, you know, not necessarily a bad thing, and then have that arch over, and that would be a decently easy to build two-way bridge. Maybe it's using a few more resources, but it is conserving science. Which, feel free to, you know, be of the opinion that that is a waste of time and all that. That is okay. Once again, it is always okay if we disagree. So, seeing how this is currently set up like that, I'm not going to try to, you know, play the game with the platforms or whatever. I'm just going to build it. And if it's stupid, then, well, it's going to be okay. I just need this to exist more than I need it to be perfect. And then this will be going straight across, which they theoretically can build after a certain point of construction on here. But I think I'm going to have to... Hello, autosave. I'm going to have to prioritize this, or they are never going to do it before they finish everything else. So we will probably need to have a good location for a station over here. This has a radius... It's actually not that big, but it's just going to demolish some stuff that would be rather irritating to have demolished. That is okay there. So here's what's going to happen is I think the station can just go right here, but I can't build it until... you know what? I don't know if they can demolish things from inside tubeways like they can build stuff. It would stand to reason that they could. But I kind of don't want to find out that I'm wrong. So maybe we will just not do that way. Oh, you know what? Oh, it's not going to matter because this is going to be gone by the time I need to delete it anyway. How's this going? Surprisingly pretty well. Yeah, I don't regret doing this way at all. We will, of course, need to expand to some other areas, but fortunately, once we get through here, there's a pretty easy path. And I think if I prioritize... I don't really need that to be removed, but it might as well be some level of priority. It won't be the fastest one. I don't need to prioritize that. I can get this to here taken care of. And that won't be terribly difficult to get set up. The issue is just going to be, well, what are we going to do about beaver or bot mobility to get over here? We've got planks that I do want to take care of, so why don't we, Oh, that's evil. There's no available off-ramp, huh? Well, that gets to be a priority demolition target then, and then I will put a ladder here so the bots can get in here and connect to that. Also grab these relics, which I guess can be slightly... Well, I shouldn't say reprioritized because they weren't ever prioritized, but they can be deprioritized. Leaving the laboratory is not necessary. God, I hope somebody gets that. I think at this point... Yeah, that's too far. Oh, I really don't want to have to delete this to just get this one bit out. I know they can build inside of tubeways totally fine. That is not an issue. The issue here... Is that going to be... Yeah, it's going to be cheaper to just do that way. The issue is that I need to have this gone before it is a thing. So, get rid of that. We've got, I don't know, about 20 scrap metal for them to pick up from this little bit here. I do want that to get done. Kohlrabi's and berry storage here is a good emergency food thing. I don't think that's really a huge problem right now. Still looking okay. Farmhouse is doing farmhouse things, slowly helping this. We can keep a look at how some of our food stuff is going, but I think honestly we're okay, minus eggplant. There is an insatiable eggplant thing going on with these beavers, so we probably should plant some more of those. They can't get down here, but no, if I put a staircase, they're not going to be able to use most of it. So we'll just do the, you know, maybe not necessarily the best strategy, but the one that will work fine, and just put more eggplants around here. I think that's about double what we previously had. Alright. Now, once again, we have to just do a little bit of babysitting here. But it's going to end up being worthwhile. Let's just get this hooked in. Keep this whole thing rocking and rolling. Go over here. And this is still not done. Too far away. How is that too far away? Oh, because there's no path here. Well, now there's no excuse. So come on down. Thank you, autosave. This is done. It's finished. It's not a biscuit. That can be removed. That can be removed. That can be added. That connects there, and we're already connected right there. That seems like it's going okay. We just need that to match up. And then as soon as this piece of thorn is removed, I will put in the rest of the structure for everything. Put the station in here. This will massively speed this whole process up. And I don't want to sit here and wait for that. So let's go 4 of these in 17 days. Is that these? 1, 2, 3, 4. Yes. Okay. Just make sure we have no nasty surprises. Make sure I'm in the right spot. Yeah, there we go. Okay, they are doing this first, and, you know, in fairness, I did tell them to do it, so that's fine. But getting this power hooked up first, I think, is just a touch more important. So, seeing how this is accessible here, you know, long term, we are going to need to get to a couple of other locations. Maybe it makes sense for us to just have all of this be removed, because why not? It'll just make it that much easier. Just focus on this one area, get it completely cleared out so they can move around. And then, why don't we... Oh, these are all marked here. Okay. Why don't we just, you know, get all of this? Because we know we're going to have the labor to do it. We just have to have the ability to access all of this. And once the trees and stuff start getting removed, then we can have better accessibility. We can put paths around. Just need to be able to do all of it and not worry about it. Alright, now this hopefully, yes, is good to go. Let's get this triple here. And look at that. I love it when a plan comes together, and I love it even more when it's something that I came up with without having to ask somebody for help. Although this does look just a little bit funky. Gotta admit. Okay, alright, they can build this first one, that's fine. Especially because we have this out of energy one. You know what? I lied. Go do something else. We're gonna do this the way that makes sense. I know that's a statement which will come at a great surprise to most of you who have watched these videos, but we are going to choose life. We are not going to choose desperation and all this other nonsense that comes with it. We're going to build this. We're going to put tubeways out the back, and we are going to go. Come on, autosave. No? Okay, that's fine. We are going to allow ourselves to experience the joy of success. And I suppose at this point I might as well just go across this way, doesn't matter. So they can build this, and then they can go inside. We have metal... No, we don't have metal storage. We do, however, have a lot of planks available, which would be very nice, along with scrap metal and all of these things to get connected to our path network. There we go. Just get that started. Those are treated planks. We do have a little bit of time before these things are going to go kaboom. Probably. I don't actually know, but that will get us somewhere along the path to excellence there. Alright, they got the free science there, which is nice. This can be connected here for some more planks. And now they can get to the rest of this when they so choose. Let's come back in here and check on... Okay, so this is drying out. Those are going to die in 7 days, and they didn't even get to watch the video either. This is where this is going to be a little irritating, because we don't have a good way to irrigate this without building another dump. And there's no bad water that's going to come through here unless something completely cataclysmic occurs. So, for that reason, I think it will be not a terrible idea for us to start the process of getting this turned into a little irrigation station. So let's get rid of that. Yeah, look at them go. They are just bored to tears, and they are very eagerly awaiting literally anything that they can do. Okay, now I literally just had this whole thing about, you know, maybe don't try to overcomplicate this, and here I was about to try and overcomplicate it. Oh, where am I going to put this? Doesn't fit, doesn't fit. Oh, it's going to be so ugly, but guess what? Life goes on. It's fine, don't worry about it. That's going to get that filled up. And I suppose the best I can do is just put in sensors where sensors make sense. Get it? They do have to be able to observe everything, so let's... They won't, you know, keep the names, so it doesn't matter, but I'll just get both of these set here. This is set to... okay, that needs to be 1.8 instead of 0.8. Alright, so let's fix that. And then this by proxy needs to be 1.5. This needs to be duplicated and put literally anywhere. It does not matter. This needs to be automated to that. This needs to turn on. Oh, this is where I got messed up. Alright, depth sensor 3. So that's the one where it goes that way. Yeah. That goes there. And then that goes there. And then that goes to this. Okay. Hopefully that helps solve a lot of our problems once it is actually completed. Everything else is looking okay. There's no swimming because there's no water. Stuff happens. Okay, they're actually making some good progress here. I'm not going to worry so much about putting a pathway on top of this as I am just getting these connected so we can have more stable power. They will build. You just have to let them do it and not trap them somewhere. This almost lines up really nicely here. Let's, yeah, let's just, do ourselves the favor of granting easy, relatively painless access to this while we are here. That is going to kind of block that off. But this is achievable. And it won't be that hard for us to get over here. We just have to do it. Yeah. Just got to give them a little bit of time. Without blocking them in. And we know they can walk through trees. They cannot walk through thorns. Not brambles. Are these in range? Looks like they are. Okay. How are we doing over here? Surprisingly well. Okay. I know they can't start building this until this... Come on. This one is done. That's okay. Trees are doing tree things. That is fine. Those are going to come on in 11 days, which is going to be toward the end of the next temperate cycle. You know, all things considered, this is going decently well. This is another bit of irrigation. I did say I was going to blast this down. I have not, to this point, done so. But we have the ability. Oh, is this actually marked for cutting and able to be cut? I'll accept that one, and I'm not going to sit here and wait for that. So as long as that's in range, that'll be fine. Let's get these set. We can blast this down, and then we'll have a lot more farmable space should we choose to use it for trees or for consumables for the beavers. We'll get it sorted. They're going to town. We've got extra beavers and we're not doing anything with them. I guess that's not necessarily a horrible thing because we do want that extra labor for pumping when the time comes. Do we have the resources to start building additional tanks? Because I know the tanks are not even probably half full. But if we have the resources, we can build them. So we have metal to build 3, we have planks, and we have gears. Thank you, autosave. I'm going to say that we should just go ahead and put more tanks in, even if they're not in, you know, crazy great locations. You know, easy for me to say, right? Why don't we just do that? And I know we're not really pumping much from these guys anyway, but it's going to be okay. Put another one there. Maybe this is good land for growing something. There's pumps right here, and I think speed is, you know, sometimes a little bit more important. Maybe we should put some over here? I don't know. Once again, we are waiting on science so that we can get the bots to self-replicate. And then I will probably want to invest in some dirt. That's 1,000 science, and we do have we don't have a ton stored up, but we do have some. If I remember where it is, which I guess I don't. Okay, these guys, yeah, okay. I figured that's probably what was happening. This needs to be removed. I guess we have thorns. Outside of that, I don't really have an easy way to get to a lot of this without building stairs. What's in here? Water. Okay, we don't really care about that as much anymore, which, you know, tell me that I said that 10 episodes ago, I'd say that, oh, something's wrong. But no, we've actually got a pretty good handle on most of the survival stuff. At this point, it's just about getting the map to not be, insert your favorite word here. Where is, I guess they're just not having enough material. So that's fine, that's fine, that's fine. We're replanting. We've not really run out of that. We have enough lumberjacks. Things are going pretty well, honestly. I don't know that I have any room to complain. I just want to make sure we get this hooked up and get this moving along this way. I guess we'll just have path going along here because we have the ability to. That'll get us hopefully close enough. Maybe not, actually. We might have to have more of this removed. Is that deprioritized? I cannot tell. Alright. So that's working out. I do like this little overhang here with the bits that aren't supported from below. I think those look cool. At some point, we may end up removing some of these. I don't know. I don't necessarily want to commit to that. Did we just do something stupid? Ah, you dumb, dumb, dumb bots. The bots aren't dumb, it's you who are dumb. Well, you know, two things can be true at the same time. If we build them a ladder, they will be able to reintegrate back into the fold. It's just an issue of, you know, you can only do what you can only do. So, it is what it is. Let's get this gone through this way. That shouldn't pose that much of an issue. I think we'll be fine. Let me just bump this up real quick so that can be taken care of. We can ignore that for a little bit. Alright, they are actually making some good progress on that. I think we can feel pretty comfortable. This was completed a while ago. That's fine. Now, getting over here was something that I kind of left alone at the beginning of the episode because I felt like we had too much else going on. But now that's connected, they can get to these. This is going to be kind of a long-term project, but I did want to take a look at what we have down here and make sure we have it set up correctly. I need to remove this blockage so I can then put something else back in here. This one is easily defeatable by putting this in this, and then a thing right in the front of it. And then this one here is going to require a little bit more finagling, but not going to be super hard to do. And then we will have access to underground ruins with a doorway that will face there. That is 4,000 science. I don't want to spend at this exact moment, but we will get there, and it will be okay. And they are... oh, they're going to take their sweet time doing this because they're also the same bots that are over here doing all this. Power is just a tiny bit more important, I think. Did we rescue these guys? We did. Okay. Now that we have that, I know this is not exactly the most beautiful setup ever, but I need to make sure... what is this going to destroy? Those things. Now, we don't have to have the path not be on top of this, but I think it might be easier because I'm going to forget. We'll just run it around. And we can actually straighten this out. Those of you who are particularly inclined toward path straightening. Throw you a bone with that. Yeah, I do think I want to get into the whole make a trench thing. Now, is the 2 wide going to be enough? Maybe. But we can start with that. Go from there. The good news is that this is going to be pretty easy to integrate into the power network because, obviously, that's what we've been spending a lot of time on. Seems like it's going to be okay. Get this removed. And once again, I don't want to build tubeways just for the purpose of doing all this a tiny bit faster when we're not going to actually use the tubeways. This is going to get a lot of use once it's actually set up. And then there's a very strong argument to be made for tubeways to come over here, but again, it's going to be expensive to build until we get everything cleared out. Okay, this is drying, going to die in 0.8 days. You know, cassava has not really been something that we don't even have storage for it, do we? Fermented? It is episode 20. And somehow, I have not had a single storage for fermented cassava for who knows how long. Well, I don't have a good excuse for that at all. Why don't we just do this? Let's put in a large warehouse for the fermented cassava over here because that's where the rest of the food is. Even though we don't technically need it to be there. I just think it makes more sense to keep stuff in the same general area. Let's put this in. Game didn't need to be paused for that. I do understand that. This, if it were dispensing any water into it, would be substantially better, but I did not set that up to do that. These are waiting on materials. Oh, because somebody did not turn the explosives factory on. I'll let you guess who that was. Got emergency berries we don't really need. This is all fine, I guess. You know, at some point it's probably worth talking about putting in tunnels for power shafts underneath all this so we can reclaim a little bit of space above ground. I don't know that we really need to be that anal retentive about it. We got almost 14,000 storage space for water. That seems pretty good. We are getting pretty close to this actually making sense. Okay, why are they... Ah, you know what? I always forget. You can't do that unless you do it. How far is this going to go? Okay. I just need to make sure that I'm keeping this in the right general area. I know I've got this deprioritized. That's fine. They are going to take their sweet time to do that, and that is okay. I just need it to be something that I can actually, you know, operate with. Alright, so that's looking okay. We're coming up on an hour. We're coming up on the end of the drought. This is not connected, but that's fine. This is workable. We got a charger here. We got bots there. We need to build more chargers. It probably would be a good idea to have more chargers in this general area, so let's just put one more here, and I guess one more here probably would not hurt. Just as soon as they give me somewhere to put it. Come on, beavers and bots, both working at the same time. Alright. So 4 of those near the crossing is going to draw 200 HP constantly, but we're about to be making, well, not a ton more, but enough where I don't think that is going to be a tremendously terrible price for anything. This is very easy to access right here. I will go ahead and get this set up. And then this will be one of those things where I end up cutting the path off, and that's fine. We can always put some sort of other thing on there, but just giving them something to do. About to be the end of the drought, and this is almost, it is very close. Making decent progress. Just as soon as this gets any amount of something done to it, then I think we'll be good. I don't know if they're not... Okay, they are able to work on this because this is down here, so that should be done pretty quick. Cycle 18. Now. Ah, here comes the other... how many? 25 days, 25 days, 25 days, 25 days, 3 days, 3 days. Okay, that's going to be interesting. I don't think it's going to be horrible, but now both of these are on. Remember, we've done a little bit of reinforcement over here, so it, in theory, shouldn't be horrific, but I think this is a tremendous quantity of bad water. Keep in mind it can still go off the edge of the map, so we're not in, you know, 5 alarm territory. I am, just academically speaking, extremely curious about this. Let's just speed through this because I want to see how this spreads before it slows down. It looks like if we watch this going up the side of this block here, just leave the cursor in one spot, it seems like it's actually staying in the same height. Alright, let's just check. Okay, there is an underground thing. We already knew about that. This, whenever this goes off, is going to definitely change the equation. But for the time being, I believe we are doing fine. Now, of course, this is going to keep flowing through here until it figures out what it's doing, and then this will stop having motion in it. It will, at some point before, emphasis on before it becomes a problem for this, spill into here and then down here, and also back down here. Right now, it's just kind of filling the void that's in here, and then, as a reminder, can also go this way, and so many other places. So this is 93%, actually. That's pretty good. All of this is slowly refilling. Was this the one that was... Yeah, okay. So that's all working. This is ready to K for kaboom, so let's do that. I'll zoom in. It's going to be very loud. Look at that. Now we got a bunch of extra space for activities. We have more farming going on. Slowly increasing number of eggplant rations. We're not really going to be making a ton more fermented cassava without extra, you know, buildings to do it. So in the spirit of, you know, actually not doing stupid things, I'm going to put another one of these here. Set to cassava. And that can fill that. I don't think we're really pulling enough out of the ground at this exact moment in time to have a dedicated storage for it, and the farmhouses are not super far away. We have haulers that should be okay. Okay, which unstable core is 10 days? Ah, this one seems like it could be a problem. That is going to do nothing? Ah, no, that just opens up here and here. Okay, and we know there's bad water that can come up from this side. So probably the easiest way to render this a non-issue is going to be to just block this off. And... okay, I don't really have a great way to get up here. It's going to be faster to... yeah, probably. It's probably going to be faster to just go up this way. Come on, autosave. Let's get these beavers up to here. That gets them level, but it doesn't line up, so I would have to have... of course I don't have the right... oh, I do! Okay. Well, never mind. They can get to here, and then they can, you know, whine and cry and scream and throw up about getting these thorns out of the way, but you know what? That's life, kiddo. Sometimes you gotta do stuff that's miserable, because you have to do it. Yeah, then this will give me access decently close. Get rid of that. Trying, again, to follow the path of least resistance in terms of getting beavers injured, which I think will be that. So that should get me close enough to here. This, when it blows up, will get rid of all of that. And I really only need to have this one thing blocked off here. I'll do there, just to be a tiny bit safer. There's a little bit of bad water there. I do want to check the radius on this again to see exactly what it's going to get rid of. Yeah, it's not really going to be a big deal. Okay, so that is looking okay. Which water source is coming on at 30 days? Okay, and that's an actual regular water source, or is that a drain? I'm probably willing to bet, based on its location, that that is a drain. So why don't we... And it's always dark when I try to talk about stuff. All right. They are, you know, they're doing exactly what I told them to do. That was always allowed. I've got 11 homeless beavers. It's probably time to build some more housing, huh? Kind of don't have a spot for it. We can make one. It's just not going to be, you know, great, but we can do it. This is flowing here. As long as they're not getting contaminated by going through the tubeways, which I'm like 99% sure is impossible, then we're fine. Power-wise, oh, you know, I forgot to turn all these things off, but they are, they're actually doing fine. Up to 6,300 science. Remember, we need 10,000 to automate, not automate, whatever, to get the bot factory itself working with bots. The part factories are 5,000, but we still have, yeah, okay, we don't have a ton of parts, but we are, we're getting to the point now where it's going to be necessary to get these turned back on. I think for the most part, things are looking okay. We've got 21% durability on the low end, 71% on the high end. They have been waiting on... Oh, they're out of limbs, but I'm not out of limbs. It's the other district that is out of limbs. It's the children who are wrong. This could stand to have a rule to import bot parts. It says if needed. I'm going to tick this over to always for these three, just so we don't even have to think about it. They will take care of that pretty quickly because that's not too far out. Okay, this is just about hooked up. It's just got this one piece, and then this will be good to go. Yep, that'll be nice to have that, well, not entirely taken care of, but massively improved. What about over here? I don't want to end this episode without having at least some more measurable progress, whether that's getting this hooked up or otherwise. I'm trying to think what would make sense, because I know I did tell them to get rid of this, and we do have those guys doing what they can. This is working out fine. That's working out fine. I do have 100% power, which is one of the most important things. This is okay. This has not, read, not overflowed or caused a calamity, so we can be thankful for that. The Badwater Dungeon over here is no longer the Badwater Dungeon because we fixed it. And overall, I think we've got a lot of good stuff done, but I still really want this to be slightly better setup. I don't know, this is probably about the point in time where I start thinking, you know what, maybe I should have put tubeways over here, just because it's a very, very long walk. But then I'd have to build something else. Anyway, we've established what we want to do here. I guess if I'm going to actually, you know, be about what I'm supposed to be about, then I should be about it, right? I know that probably doesn't make any sense. But I'm going to have them come over here and take care of this while we're doing our end of episode, whatever you want to call it. And, oh, you know what? I forgot. I always forget. That's the problem, is you forget. Get these guys going, I suppose. Could have those three as well. We're at a -3 for the beavers, but we're not because they're taking them out of the builders, which is fine. I just want to make sure we get as much pumped as we possibly can, so I probably should have all of these, huh? Yeah, -10 is still fine because we still have some beavers that can build. And now, yeah, so I appreciate you guys being here. I always say it, and I do genuinely apologize that I can't do everything everybody wants me to do, and at some point I'm almost certainly going to do something that you're just like, well, that's really stupid. Why is he doing that? Well, because I have to pick something to do. Doesn't mean your idea is bad. In fact, your idea is probably better than what I've got going on, but I do have to pick something. So I appreciate your patience. I appreciate your understanding, and I do appreciate those of you who continue to give feedback, even if you know I might not take it into what we're doing here in this playthrough. It does actually make a measurable difference. Beard Boosters, of course, are doing everything they can to keep this thing going, in spite of whatever nonsense I end up coming up with. I really do appreciate those folks making it possible to keep doing this. Like I said, it is not possible. To keep doing the amount of stuff that I've been doing 6 days a week with this is just not sustainable anymore. So putting this down to 4 days a week with these 2 series and these other things we got going on is just, it's a lot easier for me to do, and those folks make it possible for, you know, the YouTube algorithm not to be quite as big of a deal. I say it all the time, and at this point, if you're on episode 20 of this, you're probably sick of hearing it, but I'm always going to acknowledge the people that support the channel because that is what is the right thing to do. So, single speed, 2.5 days left. I will lay out this right here, and when we come back next time, we'll have to probably remember to get this connected. It's just the easiest way to do this without having to bring in all these other things. But this will get us most of the way there. We've added, you know, importantly, quite a bit of power production. We're up to almost 4,400. And the crater is looking pretty good, and the big bad wasn't so big and wasn't so bad after all. I know there's more coming, but we'll get there when we get there. Have a great rest of your day, whatever it is you're doing. Stay safe, have fun. We'll see you in this series again on Saturday. And until then, see you later. Bye-bye.